Man, this music just gets me going. It's fantastic. Great music for a Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, welcome to another episode of I Could Never Be here on the Popcorn Talk Network. Guys, the year is getting shorter. We are past the point where the daylight is expanding. Every day now getting shorter. Reminder, make the most of that day. Every day, you only have so many hours, but we all have the same amount of hours. Get stuff done. Today's advice: listen. Guys, there's so many times in life where you hear something or you meet someone and you put up a wall and you're like, I don't want to know anymore. Listen, hear them out. The more that you actually involve future conversations and just more in-depth conversations, the more you learn about these people. I know personally, a lot of my best friends, people I have huge disagreements with, but they're just great people. And if you put up those walls initially, you never know that they're great people. So just break down the walls and just have great conversation. Listen to what they have to say, learn more about them. Certainly someone today checked a lot of boxes. Singer, songwriter, vlogger. You're listening to her new song, Crush, which is on her album that comes out August 3rd. Fantastic. Please welcome Tessa Violet. Tessa, how you doing?
Hello. I'm doing really good. I'm excited to be here.
I love this song. It's just one of those songs I feel like you can just put on repeat. Some songs you're like, oh yeah, I heard it. Now I get sick of it. This is just the beat. Aww. It's relaxing. I'm
glad to hear that. Thank you for saying so.
So what was, the thought process behind this song?
So like most of my songs, they start out just me and my piano and my guitar. So I wrote this last summer, didn't have a great year last year, and there was this guy I was really into at the time, and I knew he was kind of lukewarm about me.
We're the worst.
But I was sitting at my piano. I try and write when I'm in a phase of my life where I'm writing between 9 to 3 every day to just get something down, if it's good or not. And I'd been sitting at my piano for like an hour and a half stalking him on Instagram. And I've been like, okay, enough's enough. I need to get something done. This is absurd. And I'm like, what am I gonna write about today? And it's like, that first line came really quick. I can't focus on what needs to get done. Like, I'm just a stalker, basically. And I had the verses written in the bridge, and then I brought it into my co-writers, Solomon Olds and Lauren Olds of Family Force 5, and wrote the chorus with them.
Wow, fantastic. And it's always amazing to hear kind of where the beginning of these songs, and they all have so much meaning, as do so many other videos. I mean, you've been vlogging now for over 10 years, which I imagine is
11
crazy.
last week.
11, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy 11th anniversary. If you guys want to follow her and watch some of her vlogs, certainly Tessa Violet on YouTube, 1.1 million subscribers. Amazing. On Instagram and on Twitter at Tessa Violet. Certainly you want to follow me before or after the show at The Only MC on Instagram and Twitter. And again, we're here on Popcorn Talk Network at The Popcorn Talk on YouTube and on Instagram and on Twitter. 11 years.
Yeah.
Did that hit you at 11 years, or did it hit you at 10 of like, wow, I've been doing this for over a decade?
Yeah, I always, every single year I get to the year mark, I'm like, I'm going to do something to celebrate this year. And then every year it's June, and I'm like, okay, what was the first date again? And I look it up, and I've missed it every single year. So I
what's
still
the
haven't
specific
said.
date?
It's June 17th.
Okay.
Yes, and I missed it again this year.
What, next year, though?
Yes.
Next year.
12 years.
Hey, we're millennials, so it's always like, next year. Yeah, we'll get it done next year.
Yeah, it's fine.
Do you look back at 12, 13 years ago, if you would have told that person where you are today of 1.1 million subscribers, doing these daily videos, having this music and this album, what would 12, 13 years ago you have said?
Well, I think I'd start by saying, what's YouTube?
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see. I don't know. I think I'd be most surprised to know that I was a songwriter, because I didn't grow up songwriting. That was something that came to me a little later. And that'd be exciting to know, because I always loved performing. And I think the idea, even when I was young, to get to sing your own songs was like, wow, I wish I could do that. I can't believe people know how to write songs. I could never.
You could, yeah, there it is.
What?
There's the name.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that would be encouraging to me as a teenager.
And now you have an album coming out, Bad Ideas, which comes out August 3rd.
Yes.
Yeah, you already have 5 songs out. We listened to Crush. There's Interlude 3, Words Ain't Enough, Candy, and I Like the Idea of You.
What's the second to last one?
Oh, I Like the Idea?
Yes.
Was that okay?
It's not out yet.
It's not out. Okay.
I've been playing it at some shows though.
Ah, okay. Okay. So that's maybe where people have heard it, if there's any versions out there. How many total songs are going to be on the album?
Oh, jeez, that's a great question.
Oh, I just put you on the spot.
I think
Next
it's
question.
11. I'm pretty sure about that. It's 10 or 11.
And how long have you been working on that?
I started writing last spring, so it's been a year. I took a year off of YouTube, actually, for personal reasons, but then also to really focus on writing and recording. And so, yeah, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of people realize what actually goes into making an album?
I certainly had no idea before I did it.
So what were your expectations going in when you said, I'm going to write this album?
Well, this is my second record, so I'd already done one, but for this record, I really wanted to, I honestly think this whole last year has been a year of me kind of coming to reckon with some truths about myself, and you'll hear that on the record. I think the Crush is the second track, and it starts very optimistic and very excited, and by the end you see me kind of looking at some hard truths. And I think going into writing this record, I was like, I just come out of a breakup, and I was like, I'm fine. I'm gonna write a record. And it's like, hot take, wasn't fine. And yeah, I've been working and writing for 2 months, and I brought in the song Bad Ideas one day, and I brought it into Seth, my producer, and I was like, Seth, I don't know if the song's going to work, but I can't play it on piano, but these are the chords, and I just want to sing it to you. Will you play it? And we did it together, and it was like, that song came together in a day, and we immediately knew, like, oh, this is the cornerstone of what this record is, and it put us on a track, and it put us on a direction. And I lost track of the question there.
I think you answered it, of like how an album comes together.
Oh yeah, you don't always know what it's going to be. I certainly didn't, and it was really something special to kind of find out what it was, even though it was something very sad.
And now you're so close. We're a little over a month out from releasing it. Are you excited? You looking forward to hear people's reactions to it and to really see this new side?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm also scared and afraid. I think I'm mostly excited, though, because I just feel like I really said what I wanted to say. And I feel like it's a real reflection of who I am in my work. And if people don't like it, I feel like I'm okay with that, because it is who I am. And if someone doesn't like it, I'm like, that's fine. It's not for everyone.
Yeah, and a lot of what we're going to talk about today, like how you come up with that content and how open are you. It was certainly some of the things we want to be able to just delve into, because people see content creators and like how much of what they're posting is their actual life, how much are they leaving out. But you talked about, you've always been a performer. When you were younger, what type of performances did you do?
I did choir and like musical theater. I never was a lead in anything. I wasn't very good. That's the truth of it. But I loved to be on stage. I just thought it was fun, and I loved to be a part of a team and a group.
How young?
Oh, I probably started choir in like 2nd grade.
Wow.
But
just
again,
as a hobby?
Yeah, like just an after-school thing. And then like high school theater and middle school theater. Just loved it.
Yeah, it's amazing. When you're that young, I guess you're just trying different things. And you're like, oh, this seems fun.
Yeah.
Again, probably never thought that it would lead to a career.
Well, I don't know. I think when I was young, I wanted to move to New York and be a Broadway star. I just loved it. I love musical theater. There's so much like tension and drama and humor in it. And honestly, when I was senior year of my high school, I kind of had to reckon with realizing that I just don't have the voice for that, and being like, wow, this plan I had for my life, like, I don't think that's going to happen for me. And what else is there? I don't know what to look at. And it's fun to have come back to performing in music in this new venue, and in a venue that I enjoy more for myself. Was that a realization that you just had, like one day or 1 week, or was that a realization that you kind of came to when you were in high school, do you think? It's hard to say. But I definitely felt like it was a heartbreak when it happened. It was late senior year. I was just like, oh, I don't have that Broadway voice.
Where was the redirection of paths at that point? Thinking that this could be what you're going to do to then what's next?
I decided to take a year off instead of going to college. And then that turned into 12 years off so far. And yeah, I kind of floated around for a while. I was modeling at the time, and I was doing YouTube, which at the time was not an industry, was not something that you could make money on. It was just something that I really enjoyed, and it was something that I was making friends through because I was in an industry where I felt really lonely, and it was great to connect with kids from all over the world who are my age that were like kind of posting goofy things.
It was a forum at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you hear about YouTube starting off? Where was the first comment? Was there someone who said, you should check out this new app? YouTube.
I think I would have said, what's an app?
True, very true. It was a website, I guess, back then.
Yeah, someone sent me a viral video of a Russian song being performed live. I can't remember what it was called, but that was my first interaction with YouTube. And within the year, I found the first vlogger because for a play I was in, I needed to look up how to do a French accent or something. I can't remember.
Interesting.
And I landed on someone with a German accent, and I was like, what's this? And I remember he was getting like a couple thousand views every video, and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
You have 3,000 people watching you.
Yeah, and he's across the world, and you feel like you know him and you're connected to him. And he's funny, and it just seemed like such a cool and creative art form. I was really drawn to it.
Interesting. And then you wanted to post similar content?
Yeah. So in my high school, if you want to walk at graduation, you need to do a senior project, which is 20 hours of work in an industry you're interested in going into. That. Yeah. So I did a video blog all summer, and it turned out to be like 180 hours of work or something.
Wow.
But yeah, I kind of felt like I got away with something because I'm like, I wanted to do this anyway.
Was that part of the year off then, of wanting to do more videos, or what was your plan with the year off?
That was before my senior year.
Okay.
Just going into so I could walk. And then after I graduated high school, I moved to New York, and I started doing it semi-weekly. Then the idea of needing to be consistent wasn't pushed so much, so I just did it when it felt right, but it turned out to be like bi-weekly or weekly.
And the followers were just growing? How did you get more followers?
Yeah, it was definitely a slow build. I never had a viral video, although you may have seen me in Sail, which is my friend's viral video. Just a slow progression of like posting consistently and people finding it through friends or collabs, and yeah.
We were talking about before the show, and you talking about a viral video, which can certainly put a lot of people on the map. At the basis of all number of followers that you have, again, you still have to have good content. Talk about the importance of creating good content no matter what. People think, oh, I want this one viral video, I want all these followers, but you still have to have good content.
Yeah, absolutely. Exposure is great. If someone like shares your video, then that's great to get a lot of eyes on you if you're trying to like draw fans to you. But if the content isn't something that is engaging, then people aren't going to stick around. And also, I might speak into like, if you're not going to make something that you love, is it worth doing? Question mark. And I want to be careful to not be like, don't do it for the fame or don't do it for the money, because I think those are valid wants and desires, and people, it's security to have some sense of popularity and to of course have a financial security. That's important. I don't want to be like, don't do it for the whatever. But at the same time, I think in my experience, I've really recognized that being more successful, quote unquote, does not in any way connect to my happiness. And so it's important to know within that what does bring me joy, and making art that matters to me is very important.
For every video, you're talking about videos that you're proud of and that you love. For every video that gets posted on YouTube, is there another one that you try that you're like, oh, I don't want to put this one up?
I wouldn't say it's halvesies, but I do make a fair amount of videos that don't get posted because I finish them and I'm like, I just don't like it enough. But then at the same time, you have to be careful about not being a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a perfectionist, nothing's ever going to go out. But yeah, just I would push people to be proud of what you make and also to be compassionate with yourself. So it doesn't need to be perfect, but at least it should be something that you're enjoying.
Where's the line for you of what to post versus what not to post? And how did you come to that line of, this is how much I want to reveal, this is what I'm okay with revealing? Where is that line? How did you get there?
Good question. I tell a lot of, I kind of relate a lot of personal stories in my videos. And for me, I try and share stories where I'm the villain, I guess. I really want to never be like, I want to be careful about being like, this person did this thing to me. And I don't know, maybe I like to make sure that I'm not putting blame on someone else, I
You're
guess.
not condemning anyone. You're not saying you're better than anyone.
Yeah, just I want to share experiences where I feel like I've learned something. And usually when I feel like I've learned something, it started with me doing something not great. So I know what it is. I never tell stories that I don't feel are mine to tell.
I love that.
And when it comes to my music, I'm probably much more personal, much more vulnerable than I am in my videos.
Is that a long time coming in terms of that line? You have to form a comfortability with yourself to be able to put that stuff out there, to be able to put those areas of your life and even in your music, like you're saying, this album, incredibly personal, different stories. Is that something you think you would have done 8-9 years ago, or is that something that you've come to the realization of, that I want people to know this part of me now?
So I think I would say that I've always tried to do that. I've definitely always been an oversharer, but when I was younger, I probably had a front up and I didn't even realize it. I would have said like, no, I'm very vulnerable online, but in fact was very, a performance and wanting to be liked and wanting to be something.
Yeah.
And I think now, having so much time under my belt, I feel
If anyone, you go to their Instagram or Twitter, and the joke is that it's all fake now. Do you see that as someone who, posts the real content, posts stuff that, you look at other people and say, man, you wish other people kind of did that same thing instead of posting the best parts of their life always?
All right, good question. I think when it comes to posting and talking about low points in your life, I never talk about something I don't have perspective to share on yet. So last year I had a really hard year, and like I said, I took a year off YouTube, basically. And that's because I just understood that I was going through something, and I didn't have perspective to speak into it yet. And I didn't want to put myself out there to be vulnerable for critique, feedback, whatever, when I'm like, I haven't figured any of it out yet.
Yeah.
And now, having been through some of it, I'm thinking about like, how much of last year do I want to share, and can I speak into? And certainly it's all in the records, so.
Is that a responsibility that you feel you have, to be able to open up to people who are following your journey? To be authentic, to show that authenticity, if that's something that you went through, to be able to express that, again, in your music, in your videos, on social media?
Yeah. I think everyone should take, first check in with yourself, boundaries. So is this going to hurt me a significant amount to share it? And, it's okay to decide that, yes, I don't want this to be a public thing. I want this to be private. Certainly, I enjoy sharing, and I like to talk about things, and it would hurt me to not be authentic with my online persona, I guess, because I just enjoy it. And that said, sometimes the authentic me says, I don't want to share this, and that's okay.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, you have to be real of, you don't want to force anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
What point did you come back to music? Where you said you moved to New York. I know you were doing modeling, you were doing vlogging on YouTube. This is obviously not your first album. At what point did you come back to music and say, I want to give this another go?
So I'd given up on musical theater in high school. I did some modeling, started vlogging. Eventually vlogging became full-time. I loved music videos. I loved cinematography, and I was wanting to move into film full-time. But I'd really I'd hit a wall. I didn't feel like I was someone who was I wasn't a writer, in like a script writer. I wasn't that type of storyteller. And I just felt like I was like, oh man, I just want to create so bad, but I don't, excuse me.
You're fine.
I don't know how to do it. And I was at the time praying that I could have a new outlet to create something. And my friend had left his guitar in my car. And I'd been trying to like get a hold of him and be like, hey, your guitar's still in my car. Do you want this back or what? And he wouldn't get back to me, and I was like, gee, someone should play this.
It's just going to waste.
Yeah. So I started playing guitar, and then I started writing songs, and it took me a really long time to kind of come to like, oh, I do want to do music, because I felt so heartbroken by like earlier. And I mean, it wasn't until the first record was finished that I was even like willing to be like, oh, you know what? I actually do want to do this. It's vulnerable. It's vulnerable when you really want something. It's far easier to pretend that it doesn't matter to you, because then if it fails, it's like, oh, whatever, I didn't care anymore.
Yeah, no, it wasn't something that I really wanted.
Yeah. But when you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable, when you don't allow yourself to hope, then you don't allow yourself to experience hope fulfilled. And something I trick myself into thinking is that if I'm never excited for anything, if I never want anything, if I never hope anything, then I'll never feel disappointed. But that's not even true. Of course, you still have disappointment, but you also live in apathy because you don't allow yourself to enjoy when you do get something that you were longing for.
Wow. Man, I feel like we could stop this right now, because that is just such a deep lesson for a lot of people who, they don't, they set their standards low, or they set their sights low. Because it's like, oh, then I'm not disappointed. But you're right, you're living with the internal disappointment.
Apathy.
Yeah. What was the vibe on the first album then? What was kind of the thought process going into that? What was the mood, the theme that you were trying to get across with the first album?
Is just all play. I mean, I've worked with the same producer all along, Seth Ernest. He was John Rubin's producer.
Yep.
I don't know if you remember John Rubin. Yeah. And on the first record, I came in and it was just like, hey, I just have these songs. I don't really know what they are, but like I heard there's a studio we can use. And he's like, yeah, sure. And we worked for a little bit. Like, we just kind of worked all summer in Seth's off hours. And
do you have some free time? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And by the end of it, he was working for a company at the time, Maker, and they had him on as a full-time producer, but only had like some of his hours filled. So the rest of the time, they're like, yeah, you guys can work together. Nice. And it's kind of like we didn't even realize it was a record until halfway through the summer. And a fan asked me the other day, they were like, why didn't you promote Maybe Mostly Troubled almost at all? Which I didn't almost at all. And I was like, I was just scared of it. It's vulnerable. I was afraid people wouldn't like it, and that, I've been a vlogger for so long, and to come in and be like, I want to do music now.
What was the? I mean, is that a scary time where people know you for this certain types of content? And I even know people online who have these massive followings are like, people know me for this, so I feel pressure to keep up this person when I really want to do this other thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think people definitely fall into that of I've been doing this, like people want for this, I can't do something else.
Their expectations are there.
Yeah. And I came to a point with it where I was like, you know what, to get to do music, to get to be a vlogger, both of these things are dream jobs. So if it's not going to be a dream experience, I have to question, is it worth the work of doing it? So to me, I decided it's better to be authentic with who you are, what you want. I want to do music, and if that means losing some people, I'm okay with that, because it's better to be liked or not liked for who you really are, instead of, being lifted up by many, I think, for something that you're not. If you're unhappy but trying to project this positivity, I think that can be very internally fracturing.
And when that album came out, the reaction from people who enjoyed the authenticity, did that reinforce your like, yeah, this is something that I want to keep doing?
I mean, I think it took me a really long time. Like, I tend to hold praise like this. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. I push it away. So, a lot, I mean, for my personality type, a lot of it was just like over years, just kind of like getting comfortable with who I am and comfortable with praise.
These people could be lying to me. It's a trap.
Yeah, it's a trick or something.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Are just like, oh, thanks. Like, where do I put this praise?
No, but I think it gets back to the not adding pressure to yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you tell, people want more of this, and yeah, it's great, and then it's like, but now the next thing has to be better. So then it's like, I have to come up with something. It has to be this, and yeah, I think it goes along with that pressure of what we were talking about earlier, where you don't set your standards that high because then the pressure is not there. And this is similar, I think.
Yeah. Will you repeat that?
No, I think it goes along, with the pressure. Like before, where you're not setting your standards as high, thinking, because there's not enough pressure to reach that. If you take in and kind of accept the praise from people, you tell yourself that the next thing needs to be better. And likewise, you feel like you're putting pressure on yourself, and you don't want to have to deal with that pressure of coming up with the next thing that's better.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's true for me, but I think that makes sense. And I like the duality of both, like, dream big and also my producer always says, take your art seriously, don't take yourself seriously.
I like that.
Me too.
That's good. That's a lesson that you learn sometimes the hard way.
Yeah.
But it's a good lesson to know. Fast forward to, you said last spring was when you kind of started writing this album, and around that time you said you took a year off.
Yeah.
I know it might be difficult. Talk to me about what was going on and what impact that had on your music.
Oh my gosh. So I just been through a breakup, and I definitely came out of that completely feeling like I'm fine. And I remember talking to my therapist being like, I know that this is something that someone's in denial would say, but I really think I'm fine. And she's like, cool, well, here's some tools for when it's not fine. And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. For the other people.
Yeah, exactly. And at that time, like in the last calendar year of that spring to that point, I'd made like 100 videos in the last year, and like I'd really done a lot of stuff that I was proud of and working hard, and I'd had this plan to continue. I'm like, I'm going to make 110 videos this year. And I even made a video in May where I said that. I'm like, I'm going to make even more videos. And it was just like one day I was okay, and the next day I wasn't. And I was like, I'm just going to take this month off. I'm going to do next month. I'll get back to it. But meanwhile, it's like I'm writing every day, or I'm at the studio every day. So it's not like I'm just hanging out.
You're not just sitting in your room just sulking. No, you're still doing things.
Yeah, and I felt like, what could I possibly say about any of this? I have no perspective on it. I have nothing to offer. Like, I couldn't even imagine what I would say about it. Now maybe I'm like, will I talk about this year? But it's like the record says it all.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Did you know going in then that this was like this? You said there was a foundational song where it was like, okay, this is going to be what this album is about. How far into the writing was that foundational point notice?
Like 2 months in. So I'd probably written like maybe 17 songs for the record, which when you go in, you should always know that when it comes to record writing, you're going to want to write twice as many songs as you're going to put up.
Yeah, people they think, they just wrote 11 songs. No.
Yeah. So there was quite a bit done, but when I write first and then I bring the stuff to my producer to work on, and we had had a few things that were kind of in the works, but nothing felt like it was really hitting. And then when I brought that song in, it was like we both just knew, like, oh, this is what this whole record is. And it was so honest. That song's called Bad Ideas, and it's about understanding that your choices lead to more sadness and deciding to do it anyway. And I think that kind of set me on a path to be more honest in the rest of my songwriting. I also had a co-write with Solomon where I came in before that song, and they've been like, what do you want to write about today? I'm like, I don't know, just a pop song or something. And am I allowed to swear on this show?
Yeah.
They were like, Tessa, no bullshit songs. Like, we can write you a bullshit song, but why? Be your authentic self. And I'm like, that's kind of
There's
nice.
enough of that out there.
Yeah. So, once it's just about being honest with myself.
How do you feel like you've grown in the past year? And what do you think did you learn about yourself in the past year?
Oh my gosh. I mean, so much. I'm super extra aware. This is a lesson I keep relearning, that I don't like to hope and I don't like to be excited. I like to keep myself like walls up, very safe, or go into places where like I'm going to set myself up for disappointment. So I keep relearning that lesson and trying this year to be more vulnerable. I feel like I've really learned to be honest with myself about things that I want. I think formerly I was very uncomfortable with my own feelings, my own needs, had no boundaries at all. So I'm getting more comfortable with being okay with what I want and being in conflict with people, and knowing that conflict doesn't necessarily like lead to abandonment or whatever.
Yeah, those things that you realize, that things that you need to do, allowing yourself to hope more, allowing yourself to have these things that you want. What steps, is there daily steps, is there weekly steps? How are you going about that? For people who are feeling the same way, because again, this is something that I've experienced where you're like, I don't want to have to hope for that because it puts pressure on that. What are you doing? I mean, daily? Is it weekly, of just kind of telling yourself every day, no, this is how I'm going to live. This is how I'm going to pursue this today?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I've surrounded myself with people who definitely push back. When the single was coming out last week, my boyfriend pulled me aside and he's like, hey, I just want to like check in with you. Something very cool is happening right now, and I would hate for you to not enjoy it or miss it because you're choosing to feel anxiety to try and make yourself feel safe. Not that anxiety is always a choice, but certainly I, in that moment, was realizing like, oh, I feel safer if I can be constantly thinking of everything that could go wrong.
Yep.
And I mean, that's been kind of what I've been saying to everybody this week. I'm like, let yourself enjoy it. Let yourself enjoy it. And, before I go on stage, I tell myself that. I'm like, I may mess up. I may sing strange today. But it's such a pleasure to be on stage, and it'd be such a shame to not enjoy it and to not enjoy life moment to moment, and instead to live in, culturally, I think America wants, we're really told that you are what you do.
Yeah.
And so much of what we do is our job, and it's like when you're successful, then you'll be somebody, something, you'll have something, but it's, that's not real. So trying to just check in with myself and make sure I'm enjoying even just little things day to day. And this is an SNL skit, but it works so much.
Let's hear it.
When I'm feeling down on myself, I look in the mirror and I say, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you.
Fantastic line. I feel like a lot of times we lie to ourselves too, of like, I don't have time to appreciate this right now. I don't have time to take a step back. And you're like, it's 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's 10 seconds. That's
Do you
all
feel that
need.
way?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of times where you're like, but I have to do this next thing, but I have to do this thing, and I'm in the mindset, and I'm in the groove, and if I get out of the groove, then I'm gonna lose it all. And that's that lie that you tell yourself instead of being like, no, take 5 seconds, take a deep breath, look around, and be like, this is what I get to experience today. You going on stage and being like, look at this crowd. They showed up here for me because of what I accomplished. And it's okay to feel that gratitude.
Yeah.
It's not pride, it's gratitude for what you accomplished. And that 5 or 10 seconds can make all the difference.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking a little bit before we started about how much you enjoy motivation and encouraging people. Are you taking the time to enjoy what you do here?
I hope so. I try, when people tweet or respond to the YouTube video and say, wow, I really enjoyed this. This meant so much to me. Or this person's story I definitely related to. And even a lot of people who don't relate specifically to a guest, if they're like, I never wanted to do music, but how this person's story, that was my story in this different area, And I try to, I guess, be appreciative of the outreach that I have. I still need to do more of it, definitely. Yeah. Of taking that time and saying, hey, you're good. Look what you've done. And I think a previous relationship that I was in, she told me that all the time. You're too busy. Look what you're doing. Yeah. Take a second. And I think it's important.
Tough if you don't want to hear it.
It's very true.
You do it has to come internally. Of course, it's great to have people reminding you, but it's still a choice.
But it is important to have those people in your life, isn't it? Of people who are there with you to keep you in check, to keep you grounded in both ways too, because it can go the opposite of where you're over enjoying it and like, look at everything I'm doing, I'm invincible. It's important to have those people like your boyfriend right now to be able to be there with you, to be able to help you maintain that human form of yourself. Yeah. What is your favorite song on this new album? Is there one that you personally really enjoy?
I do. I know you shouldn't pick a favorite child.
But
my favorite is Bad Ideas. It was really special to me when it came. It came to me in 2 days. And I felt like, I mean, it was just the beginning of me being honest with myself about a lot of stuff. And I feel like it brings in a lot of different elements of pieces of who I've been as a writer. And it feels real good to play it live. But I love all of them. They're all very special to me, and I'm really excited about the record.
Oh, yeah. I'm very excited. Again, August 3rd, so excited. The album even called Bad Ideas. Was that an immediate thing, or once you knew the song title, like, this is the focus of the album, this is what we're going to call the album?
Which I've never named a project after a song before, because I like the idea of the project having its own name, but, like, I just realized when I wrote the song, I'm like, yeah, this is my theme of this year. This is all I've been doing, and all the songs are ultimately about this, so...
I feel like a lot of people with content creators, and whether that's music, whether that's vlogging, or different things on YouTube, they see their lives as so easy. They think, oh, this person is just filming about their life, and look at them traveling to this location and this location, and all they're doing is making a video every day or doing this song. It's really easy. Do you think a lot of people feel that way, and then what don't you think a lot of people know about what it takes to be able to be a content creator and the work that goes into it?
Well, I'm really lucky that a lot of my audience has been with me for a long time, so I don't have that relationship with... the people who've followed me for so long. I think they really understand and are plugged into, you know, the amount of work that goes into a video, and largely because a lot of them are also creators, so they've experienced what that is. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, everything it takes time. A video, you know, you can spend like 8 hours sort of minimum editing something very basic. And yeah, it's an enormous amount of time.
People see a 3-minute video and it took 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's a lot of time, but also, you know, it's if you. I'm like, I almost said something along the lines of, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, which is of course absurd. Of course absurd, but at the same time, it's great to enjoy what you do, and I've been really lucky this past year to be able to bring some people onto my team. I have a Patreon, which is awesome. Fantastic. And I love the people there. We do like 4 live shows a month. That's awesome. And I have 2 people who help me run admin there, and Byron, who runs my shirts. And what is my point here? Then I'm really grateful, I guess.
Yeah. Was there ever a point when you had that year where you weren't making content, like video content for the most part? Was there ever a point where you said, I'm just not going to do this anymore? Was there a point where you thought, I'm never going to come back to this?
No. I kind of, the whole year, I was like, I didn't stop making videos. Like, I'm just like, I'm going to make a video tomorrow. I mean, not really, but sort of. It sort of surprised me when I got back to spring. And I'm like, oh, I made like 5 videos last year. That's nuts. And
105 short of the goal that I set for myself.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, I don't know. Again, it takes me a long time to be honest with myself about a lot of things, I guess.
And the time can catch up to you too. Like you said, it got back to next spring. And you're like, it was already a year.
Yeah.
What drives you now? Having gone through that year, having gone through now 11 years of making content, having your life on display for people, what drives you now in the future with the content that you're creating?
Career-wise?
Yeah, career-wise. Life-wise, career-wise?
Yeah. Well, the things that I love most that I do are writing and recording records. And then a very close tie is touring. I love to play shows. It's such a magical experience. It's great to be on the road with people that you love and trust. It's like a family, and there's so much structure, which in my life sometimes there isn't a lot of structure. So knowing that those are the two things I love, everything else around it is in some way a building block to try and do more of that. And so as far as like career-wise and like working and motivation, I keep those things in mind. Like, what is it that I want to do? And the things that are less enjoyable or that are tedious, I know are just building blocks to getting closer towards something that I love. As far as like my life and what motivates me, I'm really trying to just enjoy it as it's happening, and enjoy little things, and enjoy friends and family, and allow myself to enjoy things like playing shows, because my natural self would, critique and be, mad at myself about stuff. And I have a big fear of being insufferable.
Interesting.
So both on stage and in an interview like this, and to just like constantly remind myself that, I am a person, I'm a flawed person. I may or may not disagree with something I said in this interview 10 minutes from now, but that's okay. I don't need to be constantly perfect.
No, nobody's. It's like Chris Pratt at the MTV Music Awards. I don't know if you saw his speech. It was like a week ago. Was point 9 was he said, nobody's perfect. Some people are going to tell you, oh, you're perfect. Oh, you're perfect for this reason. Oh, you're perfect for this. You're not. Nobody's perfect. But that's okay, because you realize that you were made by a creator who made you imperfect, and that you're still, valuable. And I think that's an important thing to realize, that you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to do everything right, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And you can still have value.
Yeah. And whether or not you even believe that you've been made by a creator or not, it is just a fact of life that you are imperfect. We all are. And why not allow that truth to exist and still have fun with it?
Absolutely. What's your definition of success?
I guess my definition of success is getting to do something you love full time. So by that definition, I am successful, and that's great. And I try to just keep reminding myself of that every time I'm like, oh, why didn't this happen? And I think personally, my definition of success might be having compassion with myself, self-compassion, being okay with, just like, yeah, I'm not going to get it right all the time, and that's fine. And that's what, apologizing and reconciliation is for. But like career-wise, I'd love to be playing huge shows. I love to tour, so tell all your friends to save my song on Spotify.
There you go. And again, the new album, Bad Ideas, comes out August 3rd. Make sure to put that on your calendar. Listen to all the songs on Spotify. Thank you so much for coming in and for being so honest.
Pleasure.
I know it's tough time to open up, but I appreciate you doing that for the past 11 years. I appreciate you doing that in this album, and certainly that's why your fans adore you, because you are that open and you're able to have that connection. And I think that's something that people don't realize, that when you open up, you actually connect more with people.
Absolutely. I mean, on a public format or just one-to-one, when you show up as yourself, to be known for who you are is a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. And to take time to appreciate the position that you're in your life. Take the 5 seconds. Take the 10 seconds. Take a step back. Guys, that's a huge lesson for today. Hopefully you guys got that. Again, if you're involved in music, if you're an athlete, business, doesn't matter. Take a second, take 5 seconds, take a deep breath, and appreciate where you are in life. Tessa, thank you so much again.
Thank you
This song, Crush, go check it out on YouTube and check out her album on August 3rd, Bad Ideas, when it comes out. We'll have a new guest next week. Again, we're live every Monday here on Popcorn Talk Network. If you would like to follow Tessa after the show, at Tessa Violet on Instagram and on Twitter, certainly on YouTube. She's still releasing content. You want to follow me before or after the show, at The Only MC on Instagram and on Twitter. And of course, we're here on Popcorn Talk Network at The Popcorn Talk on Instagram and on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe, drop a comment. We'll be checking on those.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. We'll see you next time.
And I'm not trying to be with you now, but I could be a crush, like feel you for a rush, like hoping you text me so
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
on vacation. Touch, 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 touch. I could be a crush, 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 crush.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.